Hi, and welcome to Open LMS. So thank you for joining. This is our last session for this year, and we have lots of exciting things that we'd like to share with you today. Lots of topics and lots of new information regarding the updates that are coming in towards the end of the year. We also would like to make you aware that throughout the presentation today, we would like for you to leave any comments or ask any questions as we're working through today's presentation. So I'm just going to go through the agenda that we have for today. We're going to be talking about a year wrap-up and overview. We're going to give you lots of information, lots of exciting information that we have for you regarding the new update, which is the 3.9 release. We'll also be talking to you a little bit about the H5P improvements that we have coming in, and also some great exciting news about the mobile app update that we'll be pushing through as well. And then again, we're going to stop with questions and answers, so please keep asking your questions as we're working through the presentation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Phil Miller. He's going to talk to you a little bit about what's happening and give you some nice updates for this year.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Open LMS Live. I just wanted to say, first of all, that I hope all of you guys are safe and you're healthy and that you're doing well in what can only be described as the craziest year, and at least in my life and probably in all of our lives. It's been an absolutely remarkable year, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It's been a remarkable year for the world. It's also been a remarkable year for Open LMS, and I want to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But before I do that, this is going to be the last time that we get to connect for the year in this type of a setting. And so I wanted to wish all of you a happy holidays, a happy end of the year. This is I've got a little picture here that I'll share with you of me with my children. The reason I'm including a picture of me with my children, this is us getting ready to get on the socially distanced train to see Santa Claus. We got good reviews about showing pictures of my children the last time I did this. So this is just really a way to try to get you guys happy. These are my kids. We've got Cosette, Carolina, Cameron, and Cooper, and all of us have stories about how education is changing. But what I wanted to share with you is just what happens when you let your children decide, pick on Amazon what sweatshirt you should wear for your Christmas photos. I ended up as the Grinch this year. So crazy year, but we're coming to a really interesting finish of that year. The main thing that I want to share with you today is actually news that you probably saw in an email to me, or you saw through the news, or you saw through various outlets. It's gotten quite a bit of publicity because it is actually a pretty big announcement, and that is that actually on Friday of last week, and we announced it on Monday, we announced the acquisition of eThink Education, which is the largest Moodle provider in the United States. So as the managing director of Open LMS, this is huge news for us. We are growing and expanding our Moodle presence. eThink is an amazing company. They have amazing customer service, a strong customer presence. Most importantly, they've got about 40 people that are just truly Moodle experts that are now part of the Open LMS team. This really expands our community. We're now at over 1,400 and I think 50-ish hosted Moodle clients around the world on our various platforms. You guys will also remember that we acquired a company in Australia about 8 weeks ago that is called eCreators, which really gives us a lot of talent in that part of the world as well around Moodle. So I'm very excited. I want to just recap. I know this year has been crazy with the pandemic, all of us moving everything online basically overnight. It's also been a crazy year for Open LMS, but I think a really great year. We started by separating from Blackboard back at the end of March and forming this new company. Since then, we've made a lot of investments, everything from starting up a community site, which I hope that all of you guys are out there and participating in, to offering relief from any user overages and stuff for a period of time during the pandemic, to now acquiring 2 additional companies that add to our Moodle presence and add to our Moodle expertise. We're so excited about the future of what Open LMS is going to do as we bring these new resources to bear. I think 2021 is going to be a great year. I want to thank all of you that have been our clients for a long time. This year has been a year of a lot of change. We've switched from Salesforce to Zendesk, which again, I hope you like. We've introduced the new community site. We've added more people to our support staff. We've released new features, but that's been a lot of change for a lot of you. And so I'm sorry for some of the change, but I hope that you will agree that it's been a really positive year for Open LMS. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to the rest of the team to talk more about the product itself and the services that we're offering to you during this time. Hope you have a great end of the year, celebrating the holidays, celebrating the new year, and then let's all hope that 2021 doesn't, gets significantly better with vaccines and all that type of stuff. Stay healthy, and we'll see you on the other side of the new year. I'm going to pass it off to Laura Martin.
Thank you, Phil. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Martin, and I'm product manager for Open LMS. And in today's presentation, I'm going to talk a bit about the 3.9 release that is going to be in production really soon, and about updates and features of this new release. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, this is the 3.9 major release for Open LMS SaaS clients, and also for many of our enterprise clients. We have for our Open LMS SaaS clients sandbox release that was done on December the 3rd. That is already on your sandbox site. So if you enter your sandbox, you will already see all the new features and updates within the platform. And then we will have our production release on the 30th of December, so coming really soon. We have sent several communications throughout email and Drift, but please let us know if you have not received them or if you like further information. So for this 3.9 release, we have first some highlights. We will talk about the H5P full integration, and we will give a detailed explanation on this. We also have accessibility improvements, UI and UX improvements, and our migration of open reports. And we also will talk about a bit on other Moodle core updates, such as the improvement on activity chooser, the participants filter, course copy, new functionality, and the safe exam browser. So let's talk first real quick about the H5P full integration. As you already know or may know, this is a new plugin that was added by Moodle Core. It's different from our community plugin, but we will maintain both. We will maintain the community plugin, and we also have the new plugin within the platform for those who have it activated, the community plugin, and this new plugin comes by default active for all our clients. With this new plugin, users can now add activities directly to a course. There's also a new content bank repository where users will be able to create, store, and edit H5P content within the platform and just add it directly to the courses. And right now, since it's a new core activity, you can also attempt tracking and also enable grading for this new functionality. But as I say, Andy will go into more detail in a few minutes. The next one is accessibility improvements. Moodle Core had an external audit made to the platform, and with it just made a lot of improvements to the general sites of Moodle in terms of accessibility, so for the home sites, courses, and so forth. We also made some accessibility improvements for the Snap theme and the activities within the Snap theme and visualization, but the most important improvement made in accessibility was made for the auto editor, where now it's easier and more user-friendly when creating accessible content. The next one are user experience and user interface improvements to the whole platform. We have Moodle Core made some improvements to the book navigation. They added a turn editing on button outside the menu for all Moodle Core themes. So for example, that's very visible within Boost or the classic new theme. there are also improvements to the user tours. They added a go to top button within the platform. So if the scroll gets a bit too long, a new go to top button just appears on the right button corner of your platform. And the new functionality course copy that we will talk about also in a bit. We also have UI and UX improvements that you also can see for the Snap theme, and you can review it there more in detail in our release notes. And as one of the most important ones is that we also adapted the new activity chooser for Snap so that it can support the new features. The next one that we have is our open reports. As you may know, we've been, for the past few weeks and releases, we've been migrating our open reports to a new functionality. And for this new release, we've migrated some extra reports that you will be able to find within the menu as Open Reports Experimental. These new reports are the same reports but have better usability, graphic improvements in terms of the graphs and how they are shown and displayed. And finally, the performance is much better and faster. It is important to note that since Flash is end of lifing at the end of this month, the old graphs of the open reports and dashboard were deactivated for the time being while we migrate the whole set of open reports to the new functionality. So in terms of other Moodle core updates, so we have the activity chooser. This was redesigned in all its functionality. Now we have a new design, a new display, and also new functionality. So within this activity chooser, now users can first favorite some activities, so a new tab appears with favorite activities or resources within it. There's also accessibility improvement, so it's easier to navigate and to locate activities and resources. And also there's a new recommended tab within this activity chooser where admins of the site can just define and recommend some activities and resources to teachers and other users, so they will find those within the activity chooser. The next one that we have is the participant filter. So within the course, you will be able to have, or Moodle added more functionality and options within the participant filters. It's more effective and you have more options, and you can also build new filters with multiple conditions. So check them out. The next functionality that we had that was added by Moodle Core is the course copy. So now teachers or anyone that has the right capabilities can go within the course and just within the menu, just copy the course directly. This can also be done from the course management screen, and it's very easy and very valuable functionality right now. And the next one is the Safe Exam Browser. This open source plugin was added as default for our quizzes, and that can be activated by or to all the quizzes. So when you enter the new or quizzes within the settings of the quizzes, you can now see the Safe Exam Browser option within the settings and just activate it or leave it as off by default. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to talk about, as you know, this is a major release, and within our major releases, we update our plugins, or the plugins that we support as part of Open LMS. So this is the current list of plugins that we have updated as of now that you will be able to see within the Sandbox sites. We are still updating some of them, and we will keep on adding to the list, and you can check that list up within the release notes. So if you have any questions on this plugin list, please also let us know. So that's it. I think I'm gonna pass it on to Andy to just walk you through the new H5P changes and functionalities.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll take a little deeper look at those because there's a lot of change, and it's pretty cool, but you know, it's change, so we got to figure it out. So now if we think about H5P, there's kind of three different ways that it works, right? There's the activity plugin that we had from the community that the H5P folks had put together a while back that's been there all along, as well as just sort of the raw embedding content approach. And now there's a new plugin. It's separate plugin inside the administrative interface that gives you a way to manage the H5P content types that are available, and then also make available a button in the Atto editor that allows you to add H5P content directly into the HTML space through Atto. It's a kind of a cleaner workflow, to be honest. I think it really gives us a lot simpler way to add that content to the page. But it's different. so now you're gonna have kind of one pile of H5P if you've already been using it, and you can switch to the new version, or if you haven't been using it, I would start with the new version and just move forward from there. But overall, it's got some really slick features to it, and we'll take a look at what those features are. I'd say just, yeah, let's jump to the next slide. We'll just get right into the middle of it and think about this thing. So first off is kind of why even use interactive content. This is the question I always ask myself. Why do anything? Why get up in the morning? No. The interactive content is there to provide kind of an alternative approach to traditional methods of handing off information to learners online. It gives you the opportunity to kind of weave together more layers of information. If you can think of it as a way to provide opportunities for learners to approach material in different modes, that gives the learners the opportunity to either meet the learning in a mode that they're interested in getting into, like I like to read while I hear people talk through what I'm reading, or I need to read it first and then watch something, or whatever approach fits me. But it also gives me a way to kind of give folks a little bit more of a jazzy experience, right? It looks a little more slick, it's a little more modern, it's adaptive, it's responsive. And so it gives you a lot more flexibility in the way that the student's going to approach the material. H5P is open source. It comes from an organization, but one of the key changes over the years with H5P is h5p.org now has h5p.com, which is where they sort of provide you an opportunity to get space to store your H5P content up in their environment, and then link it or embed it or download it and upload it into the space you're going to use the content in. That content then becomes shareable to some extent, but it also becomes a tool that you got to move and shuffle around. And what's been great about the integration with Moodle is that you've always had the ability to author the content directly in the Open LMS platform, rather than have to go kind of shuffle up and shuffle down. And so that's really where it comes from, is this cool open source tool. Now with the new integration that's available inside of the new release, you've got the ability to come in and manage the installed libraries again. The old approach to this with the community plugin also had ways to manage the libraries that were installed. You just have yet another place to manage those libraries that are installed, so that you have control over which ones are available to your audience. One reason to think about doing that is, rather than turn on all of the activity types, which there are about 40, 45 different content types, you might focus it in on the ones that you find to be useful, focus in on ones that meet the accessibility standards that you're looking for, or frankly have the right kind of appeal. There are some tools that only work in Chrome, for example, or there are some tools that have weaker accessibility criteria satisfaction than others. And so that would be the primary reasons in my mind to go in and say, well, we don't want to use that content, but we do want to use this content type. All of the approaches have that support in them, and I'd make sure to go ahead and take a look at them. If you've already got the existing plugin in place, we'll take a look at how to kind of think about transitioning that in just a minute. But let's talk about what this new workflow looks like to start with. The embed tool is a button in the Addo editor, so it's going to show up anywhere that you can enter HTML. That's a big change. Rather than go through the workflow of authoring content as an activity and then either using it as an activity or embedding the activity somewhere else, I actually just get a chooser that pops up now directly in the Addo editor. When I go in and make that choice, I can choose to grab content from the content library for the course, which is H5P content objects that are available within the class, or I can author content or upload a package directly into the space. So I have kind of all of the options and modes available to me right there in the user experience with the embed tool. One of the big changes in all of this then is that the tool is kind of ever present in that sense. So it makes it easier for faculty to try to engage with this tool, but it also gives me that cool content library, right? So I can have a library of objects that I've uploaded to make available in the course and keep reusing them in the different places, or grabbing them, borrowing them, and altering them for each instance that I'm going to pull them in for. It gives me, I think, a little bit more flexibility in how it works, but it also gives me the ability to embed that trackable, gradable element more spaces than I was able to do before. It's still being enhanced over time, and so there's changes that are still coming in the pipeline for this development cycle, but it's mostly complete at this point, and most of what it does is provide me that XAPI layer tracking and the grade behavior that I'm looking for pretty much anywhere I want to add the element. Moodle can't take grades for things that don't get graded still, but it can track that graded element as an XAPI style activity stream outside of the gradebook. And then you can still manage the gradebook settings for the activity through the embed action. Yeah, let's jump to that next one. So I'd mentioned there are a lot of different contents. You know what? It's funny. I was meant to make some more changes to this slide, but we're not going to talk about the different content types really. But fundamentally, there are question type contents, there are information contents that can be used independently. So you can add those to elements like a lesson or a label or a book page to interject information directly into the page in a more responsive design. The question types have graded elements to them, so you can use them as standalone objects, or you can use those as embedded objects within more complex H5P content, like a video or a course presentation layer, where it's a set of slides that you can have some questions interjected within. If you do ones that are those more complex packages, you also will then handle sort of the aggregation behavior, right? Am I adding up all of the quiz questions, or is this last one the only one that matters? So you have a lot of flexibility around how you design these content objects. I'd recommend starting with small, easy things. To be honest, the big cool ones are really neat, but they're complex, and it sort of scaffolds its way up. Take a book, or take a page or a lesson object that you're presenting information to a student in, and add a question, or add even an accordion expanded collapse space to that label or the page in a book, and give the student an opportunity to interact with the content a little bit, as well as save some space, maybe with that accordion style collapse and expand information area, or add a question to reinforce the learning, right? It's not a question necessarily that we're going to grade for a formal grading element, but it's a question that we want to evaluate your understanding of what we just presented, right? Give that moment of sort of that formative element within the learning experience where they can assess whether or not they got the main point of what you just presented to them. And that's really, I think, super powerful from the learner's perspective, but it's also really pretty easy to put together with this new H5P integration, right? I'm authoring HTML content already. I just author a quick true or false question, add it to the page of information that I'm writing, and poof, now I have something that's both more interactive and engaging for the learner, but also presents an opportunity to reinforce their learning with a really solid tool. We can think about how to do these things within the platform, right? So I can go in and use the authoring interface within the platform. It looks the same as the authoring interface that was in the community plugin, and author the content directly within Moodle. But there is that upload action that's available. And part of why the upload action is really useful is this tool that I'm going to put a shameless plug for. I don't get anything out of it, but I've been plugging this tool a lot. Is Lumi. It's a free tool that you can download and use. It's a desktop application that runs the H5P authoring tool set on your desktop. One of the big advantages that I find in doing that is that, I just think it's easier for me to conceptualize and storyboard not live in an HTML editor on my site. And it also gives me the opportunity to create content packages and review, right, as I'm going. So I have the ability to switch between the authoring view and the finished product view, so I can see what I've created as I'm creating it and evaluate whether or not I'm actually getting the right thing out of what I'm making, or if I need to make changes without having to sort of do the whole upload, save, look at, edit, save, look at. Instead, I can just flip between the tabs in the view in the desktop application. It's really pretty cool. It seems to work really well. It gets a lot of updates, just like H5P always does. So it connects up to the H5P servers and pulls down the updates, just like the website will. So it's a pretty slick little tool, and I really enjoy using it to author that content. That was really where I was going to punch through this, but I'm going to run through these questions and make sure I've touched on everybody's stuff real quick before I hand off for the mobile update. I think I did, and I think the chat's been keeping up on them as well. If you've already got the H5P plugin in use, really, honestly, I would just start a program to begin transitioning people over to the new approach. But there's not a hard cutoff, and like Laura said, we're not ending the tool and throwing away the old one. There's a transition period, but I would think in my mind to a place somewhere down the road where we're going to want to be all on the new thing and not using the old one anymore. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the mobile app update. I don't know if many of you know, but we have an Open LMS mobile app. So right now it is available for everyone to download it through the iOS store and Google Play Store. So the things that we have within the Google app, our mobile app, is we have our Open LMS mobile app free tier. You can download it directly, and with it you have different options. So you have or functionalities. You can download content for offline access. You can also edit your profile information or see your badges. You can receive notifications and messages. And you can, as a student, you can view your course, your grades, participate in activities, and as a teacher, grade assignments, both online and offline. So this is like the free tier where you can have all these options on a free manner. But we also have a service, and that's the branded tier. So for this service, professional services, you can have the app and have it branded for your own style and create your unique mobile app. Within this tier of your mobile app, you can have your own logo, you can have your colors, you can also have it as an app directly on the Google App Store or iOS App Store. So you can create your own version within our mobile app. So I really invite you to get to know the free tier, get to know our mobile app and all the functionalities that you have within it. Thank you. So what do you need if you want to get this our app branded? You would need to have, well, an app name and a description, all that is the branded elements or branding elements, like the guidelines, if you have your logo in PNG or a vector format, if you have your colors in hexadecimal or general colors, images, and so forth, if you want us to personalize and customize that application for you. We would also need your URL of the Open LMS site, and it's very important you have a permission letter to use the branding for app and the App Store and the Google App Play. So yeah, that was it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions and answers, we can give the answers.
Okay, so let's have a look through any questions that you may have.
All right, this is normally a pretty talkative group, so I'm curious to see what questions pop up in the chat here. There were some questions earlier about the eThink acquisition and would there be any changes to contracts or any of that type of stuff? And the short answer is no. eThink has bringing a bunch of clients over and a bunch of great people, but for all Open LMS clients, the only change that you should see is more support people and maybe some different names of new support people and services people that eThink is bringing with them that will help answer your questions. Hopefully you also see some new members in the community site and maybe some new things that we can offer going forward. So shouldn't really be any changes for Open LMS users at all. All right, here come the questions now. Andy, do you want to take some of these questions about the app? Do current users have to re-download the app? And does the mobile app allow instructors to grade assignments? Andy, I'm throwing that one to you and then to Laura, whoever wants to take it.
So for the app, I would recommend having users download the Open LMS version of the app rather than the Moodle mobile version of the app. The Moodle mobile version of the app will have fewer functionalities available in it than the Open LMS version will. And so it's a good idea to push students to download the new version, our version of the app. It'll automatically update from there on based on their settings on their device. And for grading, you can do some grading workflows through the mobile device. Not all of them work through the mobile app. To be honest, it's a little hit and miss. I find that for me, grading is easier and more familiar when I just use my browser on my mobile device. But the rubric experience can be a little tough, right? So because it's small screen real estate, lots of stuff going on. I don't think there's a great answer for that. But maybe we should work on that in the community and see if we can come up with some cool ideas. Since it is our app, we've got more control over what it does. So that's one of the big advantages.
Yeah, I do have an answer. Unfortunately, Dean is not here today. I'm Paulo Orbon. I'm product guy around Open LMS. And the answer is we're trying to focus on the experiences that make sense on a mobile device, right? And not everything is actually going to happen at that context. We're trying to get the most out of the unique platform that mobile represents, right? Like the fact that it includes GPS and a smaller screen and quick access to it and everything else that is unique to the experience. So there will be some features that don't necessarily going to be translated into that, because those are expected to be happening somewhere else, maybe in a different type of device. But that's a discussion that we will love your feedback and see what ideas you have in the community.
Awesome. So let's keep going through the questions here. What kind of reports does Open LMS, does Open Reports release? Laura, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So we have about right now 12 reports migrated from the 60 reports. So when you enter the new Open Reports experimental, you will see those reports. There are course report, correlation reports mostly. But you will be able, if you enter the Open Reports old link, you will see the 60 reports available still. So we will be migrating the rest of the reports quickly to the new technology, but in the meantime, you will have both options, so you don't lose any functionality.
All right, Joseph Favreau question. Hi, Joe. Any API conduit updates in this update? I'm going to give that one to you again, Laura.
We haven't done any improvements to Conduit directly or new functionalities to Conduit within this major release. We are always kind of debugging Conduit as part of our process, but no major new features for this release.
Okay, great. Somebody with an acronym for a name called ICCCTEL. Hi, hello, ICTEL. Is there a plan to deprecate the old H5P plugin as a grading activity? I think is the short story. Andy, I'm going to give that one to you.
Eventually, yes, but not now. Like Laura was saying, it's something that'll come down the line, because it doesn't make sense to have two separate stacks, but they don't operate that dissimilarly that it's going to be a big burden to keep it around or to cut it off, to be honest. What's going to really happen is that folks over time will begin cycling their content to the new interface. And there was another question in there, I think maybe Josh had thrown it out there about, hey, it looks like this one's really designed for uploads and not as much for authoring. It's just that the authoring's kind of tucked away in a slightly different workflow. There's just a button to add content that shows up in the interface, and you just choose the type that you're going to add. It's a little more streamlined, actually, which is pretty cool. So
awesome. Okay, the next set of questions are about the eThink acquisition. So there's a banner to LMS integration, and also a question about new training courses with other themes. The short answer is eThink has only been a part of Open LMS for about 72 hours. So we've got some work to do. I mean, the beauty of it is we're all based on Moodle. We actually have a bunch. We've actually been working in the background on, without even people knowing about the acquisition, on a bunch of efforts to use some similar technology on things like caching and stuff. So we think there's going to be a lot of benefits that come from the eThink acquisition, not just in people, but in cool technology, in cool features. But give us at least a few more days, actually probably like weeks at least, to figure out some of those things. So good. Next question, Jennifer Van Wagner asks about the mobile app and how can it permit SSO and Duo, dual factor authentication using Duo. Laura, can I give that one to you?
I'm really sorry, but I don't know that answer. Maybe Pablo or Andy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, single sign-on should work with the mobile app. If it's not, just let's track down what the specifics of the issue is. There was a change in the mobile app years ago that brought single sign-on to be typically doable, but I did find that it's a bit hit and miss. There's a lot of unique configurations that can go in that can snare it up. Duo should work, but I'll be honest, I have never tested it with the mobile app to see if it does. I don't know, because Duo should be operating against the single sign-on authority, not the apps directly. But let's get into that if you're running into problems through a support ticket. Yeah.
Okay. Poor Leah evidently had to delete 4 or 5 years of files. Sorry, Leah. That sounds like a tough experience.
Yeah, legacy files suck.
We got some positive comments positive comments about Andy's COVID beard. Well done, Andy.
Yay!
Yeah, let's see. The reports, you want to talk more about the reports, Laura, and when the Flash-based ones will be disabled?
Sure. So the reports, what's dependent on the reports on Flash are the graphics. So the pie charts and anything that's graphically displayed. So those graphs or those dashboards of the data have now in the old reports been disabled, because if you enter and at the end of the year when Flash just ends of life, then they won't load, they won't they won't function since they are dependent on Flash. So our idea of migrating to this new technology was to be independent on Flash. So the new technology just displays or graphs all this information without Flash. So right now we have migrated all the reports that were dependent on Flash or that had these graphs on Flash. So if you want to see those reports, I recommend you to enter the new Open Reports experimental link, and there you will find those 12 reports and the new graphs with this new technology. So no issue there. But since we are still maintaining the old reports link, you can still see the older reports and the rest of the reports. So yeah, we've disabled those graphs so you don't have any issues with Flash.
All right. Larry is up next with, will Snap be available in eThink? I'll refer to my earlier comment of give us a few weeks at least to figure that out. But mostly what I want to say right now is, looks like we've got a bunch of eThink clients maybe on the call today. So welcome eThink clients to the family. This is something we do from time to time, about every quarter, depending on where holidays fall and all that stuff. We just try to get the folks together and share a little bit about what we're doing and what we're working on. I would encourage all of our clients, but especially those eThink folks, if you have more questions that we don't get to today, go to the community site. We've got over 800 folks that participate in that. And of course, all the Open LMS folks, and soon the eThink employees will be in there answering questions and stuff as well. So it's a great place to go meet others. Next question is from Jay Edward about H5P again, making it shareable across the site. Andy, I'm going to throw that one to you.
Sure. Yeah. So from what my experience is that content repository is a course by course object, but it gets copied with the course. I'm still testing that out, to be honest. I don't know. I'm always a little curious about that too. So like you, but yeah, it's a course level content repository, not a system wide content repository. And Leah, for your question about migrating stuff manually, what I've done is just gone to all my H5P content, turned on the download button, because I'd left it turned off by default. Turn on the download button for all my content packages that I wrote in the past, downloaded them all, and then I could just grab them in bulk and upload them into the content repository in the class. And now they're all in that class as content objects I can choose from. It's not as bad as legacy files, so I guess you're in good shape there. But yeah.
All right. Let's see. So more comments about your beard, Andy. I'm not going to go into those in depth, but it is looking pretty good. So you just need a big red hat and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
All right, so some suggestions from Jason. Yeah, so we'll note that down and make sure that comes. Listen, I would actually suggest, again, this whole H5P topic might be worth everybody experimenting with in their sandbox sites, and then let's post some stuff to the community. Let's have a conversation about how it's going and what needs to happen, and we'll make sure that we keep a close eye on that so we can both answer questions and make improvements out there. So if somebody doesn't mind putting a little thread out there about H5P, that'd be good.
Yeah, and Jason, there's a link in the admin tools in the course that takes you to that content space for H5P, where you can do exactly what you're talking about. So you could just go open the tools for the admin tools, go directly to the content for H5P, and upload content or author content. There's just an add button and an upload button on that interface. So it's more streamlined over there. Yeah, and Jason, what's wrong with legacy files? I know they're your best friend. So
yeah, that feels like a question that could turn into a rant session for another hour if we had it, but we're not going to. All right, let's go back to reports for a question for you, Laura, about the captions with the reports. Laura?
Yeah, sure. So Open Reports right now, we have not added any new functionality to the reports. We're just migrating them exactly as they are working, but to the new technology, just focusing on performance and just a general display of things. So the next step would be to improve them and just to further work on them. But first we need to just migrate them.
Okay, great. And now a question there was actually a bit of chatter about this earlier. Can we talk a little bit about copy course and how it's different from import and restore? And can you copy courses with large files? So Andy gave a thumbs up, so I'm going to throw this to him.
So the course copy function is an admin tool. You have to be able to edit a course category in order to use the course copy tool. So it's not something that your faculty are going to be able to just open up a menu and go, wahoo! So that, and in the question of sort of how is it different than import or restore, it's from an admin perspective, it's just a shortcut to copying courses. I don't have to go into the course, choose backup and restore to make a backup and then restore it. I can just push the copy button on the manage courses interface in the category level and have it execute a backup and a restore of the course in one step. So it's really an admin workflow. It's not intended for faculty. If you have category course managers, they theoretically might have access to that. I don't know. Maybe.
And then Andy, about large files.
It'll work. I mean, it'll work just as slow as it always does. So it doesn't change the backup and restore functionality. It just creates a quicker stream to get in there. For those large files, my best recommendation is to use stuff like the linking behavior. So when you've got big files, if you put them in a private repository or a course repository and link to that file rather than copy the file, then every course copy is much faster. So
great. So lots of kudos for that, Jason. I think maybe we should just give admin rights to all faculty as part of this update as well, is what I'm hearing. It sounds like that'd be a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Okay, let's see. Other questions. We're mostly caught up right now, and we still have 10 minutes left to go. So well, please keep adding questions. But while we do that, we want to get a little bit of feedback on this session. So please give us feedback on a couple things. How are you enjoying this this session, and what do you like about the format? What do you not like? Is YouTube okay? Is the way we've tried a couple different things through the last year or so? So give us your feedback, and so we can continue to make these better for you guys and our clients. Yeah, I was joking about the faculty thing, guys, just to make it clear. We're not going to give faculty administrative rights. Sorry, that's not probably a very funny joke for many of you. We feel the same way. So we want to make your job easier, not make your life easier. Most of you have had to move a whole bunch of things online in the course of 1 week in March. So you've had a tough year. We'll try not to make it tougher. Okay, well, let's see. I'm gonna pass it over to Karen just to wrap us up. So Karen, it goes back to you, and we'll be in the community if there are any other questions. But Karen, back to you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for a great presentation, everybody. And thank you all for joining. It's really great to see you. Remember to watch out for the dates for the next Open Live, because we will be, I guess it would probably be, let's say, February, March time in the new year, if not before. Make sure you join up to the community, because there's lots of opportunity there to to ask questions and also interact with other clients, other customers, and you may come across some ideas, and you can share ideas with people and see how everybody's using their systems, and just really interact and ask lots of questions as well. Also in the community, you'll find that we provide information about our updates, our releases, and general information as time goes by. We'll be adding lots of different things as they occur within Open LMS. So exciting times ahead. We wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. Thank you.